the bottles when you're ready.
It's after midnight and she's on your phone, saying come over 'cause she's all alone. I could tell it was your ex by your tone. Why is she calling now after so long? Now what is it that she wants? Tell me what is it that she needs? Did she hear about the brand new biz that you just bought for me? 'Cause y'all didn't have no kids, didn't share no mutual friends, and you told me that she turned trick when y'all broke up in 96. What you gonna do when you can't say no? And I feel stop the show, boy, I really need to know. And how you gonna act, how you gonna handle that? What you gonna do when she wants you back? What you gonna do when you can't say no? And I feel stop the show, boy, I really need to know. And how you gonna act, how you gonna handle that? What you gonna do when she wants you back? There's no need to reminisce about the past, obviously, 'cause that shit did not last. I know how a woman will try to game you, so don't get caught up because baby you lose. What is it that she wants? What is it that she wants? I mean, what is it that she needs? Should she hear about the brand new biz that you just bought for me? Cause y'all didn't have no kids, didn't share no mutual friends. And you told me that she turned trick when y'all broke up in 96. When you can't say no, and I feel stop the show, boy, I really need to know. How you gonna act, how you gonna handle that? What you gonna do when she wants you back? What you gonna do when you can't say no? And I feel stop the show, boy, I really need to know. How you gonna act, how you gonna handle that? What you gonna do when she wants you back?
Right off the back, man, the boy got dollars, so women come frequent like flight mileage. It ain't no secret. I might holler, but I ain't gon' sweat you, baby. I'ma let you catch up with your gang, run faster. Don't let them lose you, 'cause I ain't gon' bless you unless you feel a little desperate. Send a text message, girl.
Stop the way you need it, the way you move that girl, you done got my heart all in it, and I just wanna be with you tonight. Girl, please, I'm a player, yeah, it's true, but I changed the game for you. I wanna see what it do. Can I be for real? This is how I feel. I'm in need of love, so let's dip up out of here. Ooh, you're just my type. Everything's so right, and I just want you. So let's dip up out of here. Let's dip up out of here. She's fine too, but I want you. She's fine too, but I want.
It's hard to find a brother that was down for me, so I'm telling everybody let him be, 'cause he's mine and I can't take no pigeons trying to take my baby. So I thought I had to let you know, find someone you can call your own, 'cause now you're walking in the danger zone, and if I touch you, I'll be wrong. My man, I'ma be the one to bring it to you. Got my girls, got my man. Find your own and leave mine alone. Don't mess with my man. I'ma be the one to bring it to you. Here's a little advice for you. Find your own man.
Hard to find a girl that's really down for me. Seems like a lot of trying me, 'cause they trying to take my baby. Oh, what the hell? So now you really better check yourself. Messing with my girl is bad for your health, and so you know you will be dealt with. Better find your own girl. My girl. Oh. I'ma be the one to bring it to you. Baby, I'm my girl. You need to find your own. My girl. I'ma be the one to bring it to you. Find your own girl.
Looking at me, I can tell by your eyes that you're feeling me, and I really want you to get close to me. So would you dance with me, dance with me? My drop tops in the parking lot, and I'm gonna take you back to my spot, but we still got a little more time to run. So what you dance with me, dance with me.
I can see you over there, just chilling with your girlfriends. Can't believe you're by yourself. You should be here with me, chilling with me, drinking with me, freaking with me. Oh, 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 yeah.
Looking at me, I can tell by your eyes that you're feeling me, and I really want you to get close to me. So what you dance with me, dance with me.
My drop tops in the parking lot, and I wanna take you back to my spot, baby. Oh,
Time to run, so what you dance with me,
I
dance with me.
can see it in your eyes that you're looking at the time. You wanna leave this party, and I know you wanna leave with me, to chill with me, to drink with me, to freak with me. Oh, baby, oh.
I can tell by your eyes that you're feeling me,
And I really want you to get close to me,
so what you dance with me, dance with me.
baby. My drop tops in the parking lot, and I wanna take you. Oh, would you dance with me, baby? Would you dance with me?
Dance with me, dance with me. Looking at me, I can tell by your eyes that you're feeling me,
Baby,
get close to me. So what you dance with me,
baby, dance with me.
drop tops in the parking lot, and I wanna take you back to my spot. And it's time to run, so what you dance with me.
Everybody sing along.
If you're sexy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're sexy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're sexy and you know it, and you really wanna show it. If you're sexy and you know it, clap your hands.
All you people in the club feeling it. Yeah. Come on, baby, now.
Baby, I had to stop for a second on the balcony. Scoping you down, you're looking fly to me. All dressed up and buying your own drinks, and that ain't right. Not that you can't handle it on your own, but you're too damn fly to drink it all alone. Can I come bubble with you? To you, I'ma make a toast. Come on, don't talk, baby, just move with me. Take a sip, kinda got you feeling dizzy. It's alright with me if it's alright with you. Don't talk, baby, just move with me. Take a sip, kinda got you feeling dizzy. It's alright with me if it's alright with you. Oh, baby, you got me high as a ghost with the chronic of me. Smelling all good, it's getting hot in the room. All pressed on you, and I know you feel it too. And that's alright. Pardon me, I'ma back up and be a gentleman. And if it's really real, then you can tell me when. And that's when she pulled me close and said, do it again. Come on, don't talk, baby, just move with me. Take a sip, kinda got you feeling dizzy. It's alright with me if it's alright with you. Oh, don't talk, baby, just move with me. Take a sip, kinda got you feeling dizzy. It's alright with me if it's alright with you. Oh, baby. Come on, baby, now.
Come on,
Baby, now.
shaking your stuff when you do it. It's like,
Baby, now.
It's alright to relax your mind.
Relax your mind, baby.
You came out to enjoy yourself.
It's on you.
It's on you and nobody
And
else.
nobody else.
Bubble with me,
Bubble with me,
baby. Don't talk, baby, just move with me. Take a sip, kinda got you feeling dizzy. It's alright with me if it's alright with you.
It's alright with
Don't
you.
talk, baby, just move with me. Take a sip, kinda got you feeling
Kinda
dizzy.
got me
It's
feeling
alright
dizzy,
with me
baby.
if it's alright with you. Baby, just move with me. Take a sip, kinda got you feeling dizzy. It's alright with me if it's alright with you. Don't talk, baby, just move with me. Take a sip, kinda got you feeling dizzy. It's alright with me if it's alright with you. Oh, baby.
I saw you soon as you came bouncing through the door. You and your mans and them just took over the floor. Started doing your thing, and it made me notice you even more. you're the kind of guy I'd like to get to know. I ain't even gonna front, I ain't even gonna lie. Since you walked up in the club, I've been giving you the eye. We can dance if you want, get it crackin' if you like. Must be a full moon, feel like one of those nights. Is this the first time that I'm seeing you around? Could you be visiting or are you new in town? Yeah, whatever the case, I'm feeling you right here and right now. And all the love you're showing lets me know that you like what you see and wanna get to know me too. This could very well be the start of something special. Happy that I met you. I ain't even gonna front, I ain't even gonna lie. Since you walked up in the club, I've been giving you the giving you. We can dance if you want, get it crackin' if you like, and if you wanna see a full moon, a full moon, one of those nights. I ain't even gonna front, even gonna lie. Since you walked up in the club, want to be in the club, giving you the eye. Cracking if you like. Feel like one of those nights. It's so silly of me to act like I don't need you back. When all I can think about is us since I seen you last. I know I didn't have to walk away. All I had to do was ask for space. I'm telling you, be on your way. When I told you to fall back, so can you come pick up your clothes? I had them folded. Meet me at the door while it's still open. I know it's getting cold out, but it's not frozen. So come pick up your clothes. I had them folded. I'll let your body decide if this is good enough for you. Already folding it for you, already folding it for you. I'll let your body decide if this is good enough for you. Already folding it for you, already folding it for you. No matter what you do to switch the story up, I know I made my mark. And I would still choose you through it all. That's the crazy part, crazy part. I don't need no more empty promises. Promise me that you got it. I don't need roses, just need some flowers from my garden. Can't you go back to how you loved on me when you started? I'll be here begging for you. You should be giving me love all damn day till the day is done. So if you wanna go that way, I'll be waiting up for you to come pick up your clothes. I had them folded. Meet me at the door while it's still open. I know it's getting cold out, it's still frozen. So come pick up your clothes. I had them folded. Swimming with the Pisces every night. Ain't really that deep, but he deep inside. Head like a Scorpio, shy like a Cancer. Water all of them planets. He said I wanna undress you, I wanna impress you, but I ain't gon' press you. I wanna undo the things I said before. Damn, I ain't been this way to years.
everyone. Welcome. Great to see you, everyone. So my name is Yannis Iliopoulos. I'm the Senior Programs Manager at the School of Business. Who is from the School of Business here? Okay, nice. And School of Creation and Performance. Okay, and Production. Nice. So we've got a nice variety here. So today we have a special guest with us. It's Grace Theokritoff. Grace is the UK label manager for Idol distribution, and we have planned some really interesting questions that we will be discussing. But we're very welcome. We will be welcoming your questions as well. So our plan is to go through some key things that we believe will be very interesting to you and to your career in terms of audience development and brand development. And then we're gonna at some point open up the questions to the floor so we can answer any questions. And then I think we should start with an introduction, Grace, about how you started the journey in the music business, and then we can contextualize all of these questions. So welcome, and thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Nice to be here. I'm a label manager at Idol now, which is a digital distribution company. So we work with artists and labels on putting out their releases. We're really hands-on with our labels. That's kind of our USP. So we're quite selective with who we sign. We don't sign everything that comes to us, but we have quite a strict A&R policy. But that means that I'm not looking after loads and loads and loads of accounts, so I can be really hands-on with the ones that I am looking after. So we work with labels and artists on everything from strategy, campaign strategy, timelines, rollout. Once we get going on the campaigns, digital marketing. We have an audience development team in-house as well, so our labels will have an audience development rep that they can use and they can speak to about optimizing ads, that kind of side of things. Then we have pitching teams in-house as well. We're helping labels to pitch their stuff effectively to stores. And then we have our own database and platform as well, analytics platform called Label Camp, which is quite powerful in terms of analysis and data for kind of post-release.
We can break this all down because I do appreciate that some of you might not be using some more technical terms, but are you all familiar with what a distributor is doing? Do you understand do you maybe want to just in a very concise way just describe what's the role of a distributor?
Sure, so a distribution company sits between artists and labels and then stores. So the stores might be Spotify, Apple, Beatport, Amazon, those kinds of DSPs we call them, digital service providers. The distribution company's in the middle, so they provide the pipes for the music basically. So it's a technical role in that, we're providing the infrastructure to deliver the music, but we're also providing a creative role on top of that, marketing, promotion, pitching to the stores to get nice placements, playlists, that kind of thing, like overall artist label growth.
Okay, and you said that your customers are mainly record labels, independent record labels, but you do also have some artist direct deals. And so what would it take for an artist to have a direct deal with you?
Yeah, they'd need to be quite established in their career, like quite, maybe have released albums before, built up their own audience quite a lot, have a committed fan base, perhaps already have a promoter on board and maybe be touring. And they'd also, the music would have to be good, high quality. We always hope for good quality releases. They'd have to have a plan around the music. So, there'd need to maybe be a tour in place, some kind of marketing plan, money set aside or budget set aside for promotion, so maybe PR, a plan around digital marketing. So there needs to be an ecosystem going on.
Okay, and just so we can make it more relevant to our audience, I mean, for our students, some of them are already releasing music, some of them are planning to release music in the near future. So the big difference between going to a distributor like an aggregator like DistroKid, for example, versus working with a more established hands-on distributor like you, can you just give us a bit of how does it feel? What's the difference? What's the additional support that an artist is getting through a company like Idol?
Yeah, so I think having a day-to-day contact person. So I'm a label manager, so that's me for my labels. that they can talk to with questions. They can come to them asking them about release strategy, the best way to roll things out, assets that are going to be needed, having a point person that they can have as part of their team. Really, we like to think of ourselves as an extension of the artist team. Whereas I think, with more of an aggregator style, it's much more of a DIY setup. So, the platform is accessible to all, but it also means there's not that extra layer of hands-on help with things.
So in practical terms, you would be happy to advise the artists about what should be the lead single, how many singles should they drop before an EP. So you are quite hands-on with all this information, right?
Yeah. So
and do you actually pitch on behalf of the label or artist?
Yeah, so we have DSP teams within Idol, so they would handle all the pitching to stores, which includes obviously like Spotify for artists pitching, and the kind of more formal pitching process with stores, but also we have direct relations with, the editors and the editorial teams at those DSPs as well, so they would be emailing with them, having meetings with them, showcasing some of the music and kind of pushing it in that way as well, so it's kind of more of a direct line.
Okay. I mean, a few years ago, the general idea was that playlisting was the holy grail of music marketing. Do you think this is different now, or do you think that this is still the most important aspect of a release and marketing strategy?
I think there's been a huge change in the last few years. I think previously we'd seen it as a really big metric, and that was really what artists were measuring their success on, was whether they got placed in these playlists. I think there has been a big change, and the industry's kind of moved away from it a little bit as a metric. Obviously, it's still really nice to have, but in terms of the placements that are available there, they're limited, they're small, and in terms of genre as well, it really depends on what genre you're releasing, in terms of like how many playlists would be available. And so I think they're less important than they were, for sure. The streams that we see from those playlists as well has dropped in the last few years, as users of Spotify are making their own playlists now more than using editorial, or that's a kind of increasing trend. I think in terms of playlisting is not the be-all and end-all for any campaign, and we would encourage artists to not necessarily, it's kind of a nice to have as an additional to other marketing.
I see. And if you take us through the steps now of how you would advise a client who's like, let's take an artist direct deal, and they say they have an audience and they're preparing to release a single, and that is the lead single of a bigger piece of work. So if you can tell us some ways that you advise artists to further develop their audiences, and then we can compare this with how you would advise someone at point zero. If this is a debut single, what can they do before release, during release, and post-release? So just as a means of comparison between what it means to develop audiences, if there's already a critical mass of an audience, versus what it means to start from zero. Because we've all been there, and it's quite intimidating to be at 0 point. So how do you deal with that?
So for artists, once they're more established, and that they're looking to start a new release cycle, I think the first thing that we talk about is like activating the existing fan base. So let's say they've got, a few thousand followers on Instagram, or they've got a newsletter maybe that they use. It's about talking to those people that already follow, so they're already like in closer to the artist already, they're already interested. So talking to those people and letting them know that new things are coming, perhaps teasing some music, and just leaning into that existing fan base already, as well as trying to reach new fans potentially with advertising, running digital ads and like expanding that reach that way. You might something like a newsletter or a direct-to-fan marketing is now much bigger than it ever was before. So you might look at something like Lalo or Even. I don't know if you know those platforms, kind of like you can have ownership over your own fan base and reach them directly. We'd have a look at things like that as well, and building up a kind of a database of fans who are engaged and who have engaged before and potentially going to engage again with this release. So in terms...
So essentially the core advice for people who do have a certain audience is to focus on existing audiences, make sure that they keep them happy and warm, and then expand to a wider audience.
Yeah.
And what happens, if someone is at the beginning of their career and they're preparing the steps to drop their debut single, and they have to start from scratch? It's a classic chicken or egg problem.
Yeah.
We do have that as well with our students when they graduate and they want to get into employment. That sometimes more often than not, employers require work experience before they give you an opportunity. So all of these are classic chicken or egg problems. So specifically in audience development, what do you do when you're at point zero?
Yeah, that's a tough stage, but I think there's always things you can do, but I think you have to be quite creative with it. So artists, when they're just starting out, you might be playing small shows. Maybe you're doing showcases as part of university, or maybe there's kind of free gigs that you can be a part of, or volunteering opportunities, those types of things. So I think it's all about getting out there in that way and building up fans really from zero. So once you start building up a little bit of momentum, and perhaps I think something that's important to know is that having a small but committed fan base is ultimately better for your growth than a large fan base that doesn't actually stream any of your music. So perhaps you have 20,000 followers on Instagram, but when you post about going to stream something, they don't do it. So but having maybe 100 people on your newsletter who you talk to, and they will buy tickets to your shows and listen to your music as soon as it comes out, those people are more important to your growth, I think. Well, not more important, they're different, but those are the ones that you can really build your career on. They're going to be the super fans that are going to come to your shows and buy all your merch and that kind of thing. And I think we've become really focused on having a huge, large numbers, whereas actually I think there's been a real trend in the industry of having this like small fan base who you tend to, you offer them things early, or you give them special behind the scenes footage, those kinds of things. And I think building up that level of interest in you as an artist is a good place to start, and like really world building of like, why should someone follow you? Why should someone be interested? Not because you have something to sell them, to go and stream my music. It's because you're doing interesting things. You're showing behind the scenes. You're showing your process. You're showing your inspiration. Why did you, come up with these ideas and this music? And I think showcasing that on platforms is a good first step.
So a bit of storytelling.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And would you advise someone, if they are at the beginning of their career, to invest money on ads?
They can be effective, but I think it can help firstly to test out organic content and see what works, because putting money behind content that doesn't organically work is not necessarily going to make it suddenly take off. I think, again, trying things out organically, seeing what works. So posting regularly on your Instagram page, for example, doing stories, doing reels, seeing which style works, which ones fans relate to, maybe branching out onto other platforms if you're into TikTok or those kinds of things, and seeing what works organically, and then potentially doing A/B testing on ads like later, once you've built up some content, and also once the algorithms on those platforms have learnt what your fan base looks like and what they're interested in, because that can again snowball into reaching the right people.
Okay. And in terms of live performances, how important do you think are in developing audiences in the beginning?
Yeah, I still think they're really important. I think they can end up being your core fan base, people that came to see you right from the start. And it's also how you bring people more into your world. There's so much you can get from the internet, but there's even more you can get from being in a room with an artist, as a fan. And I think, that's something to lean into right from the start. That dedicated fan base that will buy a ticket and come out to your shows are like crucial to your kind of development.
Based on what you're saying, it seems like you're implying that speed is not so important. It's the quality of the audience. It's not the speed of growth. It's more about who you're engaging with and who you're building relationships with.
Yeah,
is that what you're really saying then?
Yeah, and I mean, obviously speed can be good, and I think there's become this kind of obsession with going viral and like virality, but virality brings you, incredible view figures or streaming figures right away, but they'll drop off, like unless those people unless you bring them in closer to you, like we were saying, like warm them up, bring them closer, they're not going to stream again necessarily. They'll, you know, another track will go viral in a few weeks, and that will be the new thing. So I think, you can kind of speed can be good in some ways, and if that kind of thing happens, then it can be great, you know, for seeing those spikes in the numbers. But in terms of sustainability and like building a quality fan base who are going to return to your music again and again, I would say that speed would not, you know, maybe shouldn't always be the biggest priority.
Okay. And how do you see collaboration as a means of tapping onto existing audiences of other artists? Do you think that it's wise for artists in the beginning to seek out collaborations, even if the artists they're collaborating with are not massive, but at least they have a small fan base? Is this a good way of moving a bit faster?
Yeah, I think it can be really good. And it also helps you to develop as an artist. You know, if you're collaborating with the different people, you see how they work, you see how they release music, you see how they record music. I think collaboration is always positive. And yeah, in terms of audience building, it can help you to reach new fans and perhaps access people that wouldn't have necessarily seen or heard your music before. So yeah, I think it can be good.
Okay. And we've seen different artists that they're dropping singles relentlessly, like sometimes once per month, and we've seen people who are a bit more careful, but sometimes they're also inconsistent. So do you think that, is it more the consistency, or is it the frequency of the releases that makes a bigger role in audience growth?
I think it depends on your goals, really. I think by releasing a lot of singles quite quickly, you can see what works, and perhaps some of those things might, for example, go into playlists or reach different people that maybe you wouldn't have thought they would. But I think if you go more slowly and you're more consistent, perhaps with the style and the sound maybe, and really focusing on building up your signature sound, that can help to build potentially a more authentic fan base, and really also help you as an artist to kind of like develop and see what works for you. So I think both of them have kind of different benefits potentially, but yeah, it depends on your goals really.
Okay. Do you deal with any physical product, or is just digital distribution?
No, only digital. Digital
distribution. Okay. So in terms of physical product, merch or like CDs or vinyl, do you see a point in someone who's starting out now to invest in merch, or do you think it makes more sense to build a bit of traction, have some, you know, a large email list, build relationships, and then move on to offering some physical?
Yeah, I think physical needs to make sense with where you're at and in your career, but also with your music. So, for example, releasing merch around a single straight off the bat, if the single, you know, has only just come out and you're not really sure how it's going to do yet, I think that might be too soon. But if you've run a whole album campaign and you're doing a, you know, album launch party, and you want to, you know, even create, when we talk about merch as well, it can mean a lot of different things now. It might mean a t-shirt, but it could also be as simple as a postcard from the gig, you know. So if you come to the album launch party and you really want to give your fans something to take away, something like that can work really well. But yeah, I think there's definitely a time and a place for merch, but there's also more companies now which do sort of like just-in-time production. So you can take pre-orders, make sure you've sold, you know, 100 t-shirts or 100 vinyl, and then give the green light on the production of it. So I think it's about being careful. It can be quite costly if you're not then guaranteed to sell it all. So I think doing like some kind of pre-order or being savvy about it. I think ultimately you are going to need to have dedicated fans if you're looking for something to sell things. But yeah, like I said, merch can be as small as a postcard or a signed photo at the gigs or something like that.
What is your favorite genre of music?
I'm into like electronic and dance.
Okay, nice. And any sort of recent campaigns of artists or labels that you were impressed with?
That we worked on, or
No, it can be anything. It can be something you worked on or something you've seen on social media.
One that we worked on that was really fun recently was the Daphne album campaign. So we released a new album in February called Butterfly. And it was just really fun. The whole album is really fun. It's kind of like clubby, upbeat. He uses lots of samples. Like it's just good dance music album. And so yeah, we did quite a lot of cool stuff on that campaign throughout. So we had nice partnerships with stores. Daphne ended up doing like interviews with Apple, for example. But he's also been playing out a lot. So he played at Fold. And also Corsica, which is obviously closing down soon. So he did this sort of big like celebratory party. And I think just all the kind of activations of the campaign, which are those moments in the campaign, they really tied into the style of music. And yeah, everything had that kind of fun element. So the live shows that he did, we're now posting the recordings of the shows as DJ mixes, and like kind of tying it all in together. So it really made sense. And he did loads of really nice content as well. There was a particularly good video which did actually go viral at the time of his cat, which he'd got test pressing of the vinyl, and the cat sort of like puts its paw on the record and like scratches the record, and yeah, people love cat content. So it went, yeah, that was really fun. But again, kind of tying it all into that style of like, he really doesn't take himself too seriously in a good way, and like he has a really fun element in his marketing, and kind of like running with that and going with that on all of the kind of videos and stuff that he did. I think he had like a butterfly face filter thing that he put on some of the photos, and like, yeah, it was just all very like on brand.
And do you think that the genre of music makes a difference in relation to how difficult it is to build a community? So do you think, for example, that in dance and electronic music, it's a bit easier to get some visibility, it's a bit easier to claim a space in the market versus competing in pop music or rock music, for example?
Yeah, I mean, pop is, you know, a really saturated market, and you've got huge players in that market. So in terms of reaching a smaller audience and kind of carving out a niche, those smaller genres usually there might be more ways in. Yeah, I think so. But I think also with those kind of smaller genres, there's always, sometimes the fan bases can be more dedicated as well. You know, people will be like super fans of dance or of rock or of particular genres like that. So yeah, I think it can be easier to kind of find those angles and reach those people. They tend to be quite fanatic.
Okay. I have quite a few questions for you to follow up, but just to see if we can bring some people in the room as well in the conversation. At this point, anyone that would like to raise a question? Yeah.
You said slow and consistent for emerging artists. What does slow and consistent look like? As in, like, do you post you release a song every 5 months?
I mean, 5 months would be quite a long gap. It depends if you're working towards like an EP or an album, or are you just putting out singles for now, or if you were working towards a bigger release, so an EP or an album, I'd recommend having kind of a consistent plan for that. So potentially a single every month or 6 weeks leading up to that album moment, just because you want to maintain kind of momentum in that album campaign. But if you're off cycle, you could have quite a long gap between sort of that album coming out and then like your next single, you know. But I think it really depends how much music you have and what you're planning to do with it. If you're just releasing singles, the timeline could be quite a lot longer. But you know, 5 months would be quite a long time between releases. Okay. Oh yeah.
Do you think people prefer to listen to the whole album or single by single? Like, what is better to release?
We would definitely recommend doing singles rather than dropping the whole thing at once, just because it helps build up your audience. It means also when we do pitching on stores, if you've released your own music before, you might know this already, but with Spotify for Artists, you can only pitch one single at a time. So once you've uploaded your album and delivered it, you'll only be able to pitch one track from that album. So that's the one that will be considered for playlisting. So if you release, let's say it's a 12-track album and you have 5 singles, that gives you 5 times to pitch. So there's more likelihood of just building up momentum that way, of those releases going to your release radar, going into potentially editorial playlists, and then you get that final pitching opportunity with the whole album as well. So I think in terms of listener experience, if you're a huge artist, you know, like Lily Allen dropped the whole album last year, straight off the bat, didn't have any singles, but she's huge and the audience was already there. Whereas I think for developing artists, singles are more productive. Yeah.
Let's go here and then there.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Anna. I'm an artist, Anna Diamond. I want to ask a question about jobs. I don't know if it's related, because I know you're talking about releasing. So if I may ask about getting a job, and then I have a related question to social media. That's okay. How does someone get a job at a label with no experience, but if they do have some social media experience, but not thinking of the content? Because I'm an artist, I have 2 pages. I have my artist page and my personal page. And I've noticed on my personal, I'm Romanian, and I've targeted Romanians there. I've noticed that it gets a lot more viewers. So I kind of have a hit with posting content, relatable content of myself, but it depends on the culture. So if I have that kind of experience, personal experience, could maybe get started as a social media manager, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think...
or assistant, intern, I don't know.
Yeah, I think getting a job at a label is a great start in the music industry. I think my advice would be go, like, you know, if you're into a certain label, like maybe you're really into the music they put out, or you really like their artists, go to their shows, go and try to meet them, and or at least be in the room with them, you know, so you kind of will start to learn how they do things, see what they're doing, going to their shows, just being around. Perhaps you might meet someone from the label and have a good conversation with them. Not to necessarily ask for a job, but to just be around and be interested in that, and kind of be in the world that you want to work in. And I think, yeah, social media is something that labels are always looking for kind of assistance with. So that's definitely something that perhaps if you want to do reaching out to any labels, like on email or anything, I would definitely talk about your experiences of social media. It's a useful skill for sure. But yeah, I think in the indie scene, it can be easier in some ways to get involved because labels are smaller, that things are more hands-on, people are using smaller teams, so the ability, the potential to kind of get in there and make a difference is potentially quite high. Yeah, does that answer your question?
I don't want to take your time.
It's okay, we have time.
One more follow-up question. Well, that's why I came here tonight. I'm an alumni at ICMP. Honestly, I don't know anything about your label, but I would like to know more. I'm an artist, like I said, and I'm interested to put it out there. I'm already on Spotify, TikTok, everywhere else. But at the same time, I'm also interested in getting a job. So with a label like yours, I heard you're interested in electronic music, whereas I'm doing alternative soul music. So how would I go about with someone like you or your label?
I mean, we do.
Thank you.
Okay, occasionally in the past we have run internship schemes as well. So I would definitely keep your eye out for like internships and like assistant roles and stuff like that. There's obviously there's formal applications you can do, and most of those jobs are not. They wouldn't be looking to have like loads of experience because they're looking for an assistant. So I'd definitely keep your eye out on like. There's quite a few pages, like Small Green Shoots. I don't know if you know them, and like Young Music Boss, and like there's quite a lot of like sort of junior pages where they share kind of like junior music industry jobs. So I definitely have a look at those. Yeah, that would be a good start.
Thank you for coming in today. I'm Ensign. I'm studying music business. And early on you mentioned about how your label have strict A&R policy. Can you elaborate on that? Like what kind of data or potential or trait are you guys looking for into that?
Yeah, exactly those things. So we'll look at the data for sure. So when labels approach us and they want to be signed for distribution, there's a whole process that we go through. So yeah, we'll need to get data on their turnover from the label, what artists are they looking after at the moment, what releases have they had already that we can potentially take over the rights for. So have they got rights to release their back catalogue with us? And then also what future releases are they planning? Like if they come to us and they say, well, you know, the label's actually going on hiatus for 5 years, it's quite unlikely that we would sign them, you know. But whereas if they're like, yeah, the next 5 years we're going to be releasing, you know, amazing albums, huge artists, we've got lots of development artists on the roster as well, and we're looking to grow them, then that would be something that we'd really be looking for. we'd also be looking for engaged team. So outside of kind of the data and the numbers, we'd be looking for an engaged team who are willing to work as a partner. We really want labels to work with us in a partnership, you know, like we're an extension of their team and they're an extension of our team. So having engaged staff who are really into the music and want to work and want to learn and develop and grow the label and stuff, that would be what we'd be looking at as well.
So do you guys take on the previous team into your company, or do you sign a extra contract to take them into your team?
We don't take. So labels will have their own team, and then they'll sign a deal with us, and we'll do the distribution. But their team will remain the same. Like, they'll still be running the label side of things, but we'll be running the distribution side of things for them and with them. So yeah, we wouldn't take their team members into our company.
What do you think about music videos and how many for, I don't know, an EP or an album would you say makes sense?
I think, music videos can still be a really useful tool, but I think in general you also want to make sure you have enough short form content from the video, like cut downs, and also kind of more off the cuff and kind of like personal content, as well as like official, you know, like really nicely shot content. I think you need both of them for socials. But yeah, music videos can be a real moment in a campaign, so they can be really valuable still. I think for an EP, well, depending how long the EP is, let's say it's 4 or 5 tracks, you'd probably only want one maybe, as that would be quite a big moment in the campaign and you'd want to take a lot of content from it. But for an album, I mean, there could be 2 or 3. It also sort of depends on budget, because it can be quite a big part of the budget if you have a music video done. But I also would say that you don't need a music video. We release a lot of albums that don't have any. They're not like an essential asset. But yeah, it can still be a useful one.
And when would you release it? Like with the single or a few weeks after?
It can be useful to release it a few weeks after, because then once the initial kind of like interest in the single has died down a little bit, you can release the music video and see another spike. I think if you release it with the there's pros of both. If you release it with the single, it means some people have something to look at, and they're brought into more of the world of the track. But yeah, it can also be quite a lot to market at the same time. So like, for example, on your socials, are you going to say go and stream my music on platforms, or are you going to say go watch my music video? You know, you're trying to do 2 things at the same time. So I think separating can be better for that.
Yeah. What kind of different roles there is in your company? That, because you obviously work with labels, like you link them, but what is the different other roles?
Yeah. So I'm on the label management side, and then we have and on the other side is the ICMP team. So they work with the DSPs on editorial partnerships. So they're doing all the pitching and like building up relationships with stores so that we can kind of market our music in the best way to them. Then we also have a content team. So they do everything to do with the metadata for releases. Do you know what metadata is? No? Okay, so metadata is like all the data about the music. So like the WAVs, but also the artwork, the track titles, you know, like everything that you would upload into the platform to get your music delivered. We have a content team that they deal with all of the kind of specifics of making sure the credits are correct, making sure the pricing is correct, the ISRC codes, all of the kind of like more technical parts of that. We also have a development team, so they're like the tech team. They run the platform that we use, Label Camp. So they're like a really technical development team. They work on kind of like all the coding and stuff so that our platform will work. And then we also have an A&R team who work on signings. So there's kind of that side of things as well. There are also different functional teams, like the legal team and the accounts team. So accounts work on making sure our labels get paid. Legal work on contracts, so making sure that the signings, you know, once the contracts are all organized, and like if we need to update contracts or make addendums, they manage all of that. So it is quite varied. There's quite a lot of different roles, like depending on what you're interested in. Have I forgotten any teams? Oh yeah, we also have an audience development team. So they work with labels on strictly on like socials, Reddit, YouTube, kind of like building up those platforms and that like audience growth side of things. So yeah, it is varied. There's a lot of roles.
Sorry about publishing music. So they will say, people usually say you should invest in promotion and spend money in promotion, but where should I spend my money? What is the best place I should spend my money?
What are your goals? What is the music? I think you'd start with those questions first. So like, is it an album, or are you thinking specifically, or were you mean
like an album? Yeah, like a alternative electronic album.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah, so you might it really depends on your goals. Like if you really want to be covered in like press and stuff like that, or get radio play, if you think your music is like suitable for the radio, then you might want to invest in that side of things. But I think when artists are starting out, probably the safest bet is to spend the money on audience growth and marketing, so digital marketing. So creating nice content, and like we were saying earlier, like building up that audience who are actually going to convert from watching a video to going to stream your music. So that would be the investment in the first instance would be more on that side of things. And then perhaps later down the line you might do radio and press, because usually those press and radio has changed a lot in the last few years as well, and they usually artists tend to be more established once they start doing that now. But yeah, promotion can mean a lot of things. It can also mean like getting shows and live bookings. So if that's part of the thing you want to do, then again, maybe investing in having a promoter or signing up to things like that, so that then you can try to get live shows and get your music out there that way.
Any other questions? Okay.
I have a question about, it's a little bit different. Is there much of a difference between solo artists and bands or groups, like in terms of whether one tends to be, like, see more success than the other, if the development process is different at all, or like is there any like huge differences in the process of releasing or promoting music?
Not so much in the process, really. I would say it's quite similar. But I suppose in terms of the artist development, because a solo artist they might have a manager or they might have other people in their team, but really it's up to them how they want to do things. Like if they want to focus on live or touring, then they can do that. Or if they want to focus on like creating the perfect album in the studio, they can do that. Whereas a band, there's more going on. There's more people in it and more people who are making decisions and wanting to have input in the decisions. So I think that I think would be the biggest difference in terms of like a solo artist can go their own way and choose, whereas a band there'd be more to consider in terms of that. But in terms of the process, kind of like of release strategy, timelines, rollout, audience development, those things would be much the same, really. Kind of leaning into the unique stance of the artists themselves, whether that's 1 or 5, you know.
Do you have one?
Now actually I have a question about the label, but not jobs. Hi again, sorry.
It's okay.
I forgot the most important question because I did research a bit. And are you a Paris label, a French label? Or
no, well, I'm based in London, but we have the head office is in Paris, yeah.
Okay, my main question is kind of a two question because I'm an artist. And how would an artist join you? What are the requirements?
Yeah, so we would, there would need to be like a project that's planned, like, you know, with potentially they would, well, when we sign an artist, it's usually a deal based on an album. So they would already have the album ready, and we would sign based on that, based on their previous streaming figures, based on their audience that they already have, what their plans are around the release. So maybe they have a tour already booked, or maybe they have a manager, maybe they've already got some budget set aside for the album. So there's a lot of things that we would kind of look at and consider how established they are, lots of things.
So you're looking more at established artists than
for artist deals, yeah.
Because I am with Dito. I haven't signed a songwriting deal. You know, like I forgot the name, partnership, to get songwriting rights, because I also songwrite. Because so established artists. And what was your? I think you already spoke about releases. I do have a song that with great potential is soul gospel. It's kind of radio friendly. I need to work on the mix, but and it's called Grateful. How could I benefit from everything to best, you know?
To put it out?
I haven't put a song out in 2 years. I know it looks bad, but since it's a very catchy song and meaningful, what would be your advice to best exposure, get every opportunity? I don't know.
Do you have an audience already? Like you have socials?
Yeah,
and
a few hundreds, but I think in the tens I have fans, so not like a lot of fans. I played about 2 years ago in a band. I don't have a band anymore, but now I post on TikTok. I post videos with my piano, and I try to make them relatable, to say personal things from my life, and it kind of catches the attentions of the people, because they love when the captions are more relatable. That's what I noticed. I don't know why I have a better target reach on my personal account when I target Romanians, and I sing in English. I'm a London-based artist. I get more views there.
I mean, it sounds like you already have people who are watching your videos and following, so that's good. That's a good start. So, and also it sounds like what you've found is you've tested content and you found what works best. So that's like what we were saying, like that's a really good start. I would say that if you've got just a one standalone single rather than like more singles that's going to lead into an album, so I would start building up on, on doing teasers and perhaps showcasing like maybe an acoustic version or something, or like teasing the fact that you're working on new music so that your fans are ready so they know something's coming. And then you already have a distributor, I guess.
I'm with Dito. Dito.
Oh yeah, okay.
I've already released music.
Okay, cool. So then I would get everything lined up with them, and I would make sure that if you're managing the pitching yourself, then you would need to do that. I would say like 4 to 6 weeks ahead, and then, or if maybe they're managing some of that for you, I'm not sure, but if so, then make sure everything's with them on time. And then I would also plan for, once the single comes out, what are you going to do to market it afterwards? So the follow-up. So are you going to post more videos? Are you doing any live shows where you that kind of promotion? Is there going to be any press or any kind of nice coverage locally? So kind of like building out the plan from there.
So I guess it is important to make a plan, because I did do a bit of masters, and I did business here, and I looked at it's important to have like a business plan and audience, but I'm not very good at that. I'm more posting when I feel like I'm an emotional person. So I kind of need to learn how to manage my brand. My brand is all about healing through music. Like I said, I have a soulful voice, and I try to inspire people, but I don't have, I guess, a settled brand, like a cohesive image. Do you think that's important to have?
I mean, sorry to interrupt, but you did also just say that your story that's like really important to tell as well. I think like you're saying, healing through your voice and stuff like that kind of story is what brings people in, and like you already have a marketing kind of angle there, which is really good. So leaning into that and leaning into the kind of the story behind your music and stuff like that is a really good start. But I would definitely say making a plan, just so that you can keep track of everything and things flow in a good way, so you can make sure you're all getting ahead of things and anticipating them.
One last thing, how much is too much of having personal stuff on your page?
Only you can
Because I'm trying,
answer.
sometimes I hide it, I want it to be perfect, but other times I post about my personal life on my artist page.
That's up to the individual artist, honestly. Some artists, they don't want anything like that. Some artists, that's like a lot of their story is on there. I mean, it's really personal, so it's really up to you. But I mean, it kind of depends how much you want to let fans into the story and how they respond as well. Like if it's going well and it's getting traction, then perhaps it is working for your fan base.
Hi again. You talked a bit about Spotify pitching. What would you say is important to put in the pitch? Like the most important points?
Good question. Yeah, so you only have 500 characters in the Spotify pitch. So yeah, I would, for developing artists, I'd mention what you have going on around the release, and there's a lot to fit in, but one line about the sort of creative process, or why this song, why now, like what's the story. So and also if there's a upcoming release for like an EP or an album, also mention that in the pitch. So first single from the forthcoming album from XYZ. And then you could say like this is something about the creativity or the style of the music. So this is a soulful exploration of my breakup, whatever the theme, and then something about what you're doing around the single. So it's not just a standalone single on its own. You're doing I'm doing a local show. I've managed to get like a coverage in local press, or something about the promotion, or something about digital marketing or something like that. So I think having those three elements, so like the creative part, and then the about whether it's coming from an album or not, and then something about the promotion.
Thank you.
No worries.
Do you still love music?
Yes.
Like you listen to so much music. How do you deal with that?
Yes, I still love music, for the record. Yes, I do.
How do you like keep loving your music? Because it's your work and it's business. Like when you look at it like that, how do you still love it?
That's a really good question. That is actually a really good question. Yes, I do love music. And I think that I keep excited about music because there's so much good music coming out. Like whatever genre you're into or not into, like sometimes I listen to things that, I'd never think I would enjoy. That's the good thing about working music, is you get sent a lot and then you get to listen to stuff that you never would have come across, or you never would have, I wouldn't have thought to search for it. And then you're like, wow, this is incredible. So yeah, that is what keeps me interested, is like the new, and there's always someone doing something original. But also like going out to live shows and like going out and dancing, like that's what keeps you into it. Like go and see artists that you're into, new artists, like then it doesn't feel like work,
Okay, lovely.
Great questions, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
So I wanted to ask you about, obviously data is a big part of your job, right?
Yeah.
And what happens when you see your clients, like labels or artists, not making decisions, not relying on data, going more with a gut feeling, not really looking at the numbers, not worrying too much about what the data says, and just moving forward with what their heart says?
Yeah, I think it's really about the artist's goals. So if the artist has real creative goals and commercial goals might not always align, so the artist might have a really strong idea of what they want to do with an album, and how they want it to look and how they want it to sound, and the kind of marketing they want to do. And if that's the direction they want to go, then that's their choice. It's an art. It's not a science. But on the other side is perhaps the artist is like, right, this is the album that I really want to break my career with. I really want to break through and really grow. Then I think in those ways they would need to look more at the data. So I think it's about the goals of the artist, like whether this is their big kind of creative work, or whether it's more of a strategic release in terms of like they really want to build their audience and increase their follower numbers or increase their streams, that kind of thing. Then they would perhaps need to look more into the data and lean more on that.
Okay. I assume a big part of your job is also managing expectations, because every time a label or an artist they drop a record, they obviously want the best. They want to see massive growth. How do you deal with that? What do you think are the biggest misconceptions in terms of growth, and how do you help them get more aligned with what is feasible and realistic?
Yeah, managing expectations is a big part of my job. And I think it's about being really honest and giving context about the reality of the music market. It's changed a lot in the last 10 years or even longer than that, and it's all evolved quite quickly. But yeah, I think it's about being, from the start, again, establishing those goals. So yeah, if you do have real creative goals or commercial goals, then laying out realistic targets for reaching those. But then, the matching those with what's actually possible. So if it isn't a developing artist and they're working from quite small, we're not going to target the cover of New Music Friday like that. It's just not, that's not going to be realistic. So we want to build growth slowly and sustainably, and kind of match those expectations with the label without kind of being too negative, obviously. But yeah, there's always things you can do. There's always marketing you can do, and always audiences you can reach. But yeah, it is about situating that in the reality and the context of how the market works.
Everyone is talking about AI, so we can't really escape the conversation. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about AI in music?
This is hard. Yeah, AI in music. I mean, in terms of the creative and the generative AI, creating music and content in that way, I think that is something that we don't really know the kind of ramifications of it yet, and I think that's quite scary, and it's going at a pace that is quite, very fast and seems quite out of control almost in terms of copyrights and those everyone's saying this word guardrails of how are we going to manage copyrights, how are we going to manage licensing and publishing rights for those that music that's created by AI, who owns that. So I think in that way it's all moving quite fast, but I think AI in music in terms of speeding up processes that are admin, that kind of thing, it's not necessarily a bad thing, or optimizing processes in terms of accuracy of metadata, for example. AI can spot differences between a release, if tracks are supposed to be the same on two different releases and the humans haven't spotted it, AI can spot those things in a second. So that it's not all bad, but I think generative AI and those kind of, that pathway of it, I think it does need to be examined a little more before we just roll it out,
I assume also that your internal policy about AI music is being shaped as we speak, but do you currently, if you notice that a label is putting out a lot of content and it's just purely AI generated, do you flag that?
Yeah, we don't distribute AI music, like generative AI music. So but as you say, our policy is being shaped at the moment, and we wouldn't encourage labels to do that. But there's also stores are starting to flag AI content as well. So I think Deezer is the first one to add a little tag to music on the platform when it's been created by AI. So I think that's going to be rolled out more and more, because users want it as well. I think lots of users have been writing about how they don't want AI content and they'd rather listen to human-made content. So I think it's kind of a response to that.
But if it's flagged and it's transparent in every platform, would you still object to distributing that music?
I think at the moment we wouldn't. I don't know if we have like an official policy on it yet. It's all happening so fast. I think we wouldn't want to distribute that.
Okay. Now, in terms of because you specified, you talked about genre before, but are all your clients within that genre of music?
No, we have all different.
Sorry, you said before.
Yeah, all different genres.
And what is your view about the fastest developing genres at the moment, like new genres of music that are doing really well in the UK? What is your observation about that?
Interesting. I think micro genres, there's a lot of really fast growing genres, and there's more and more niches that are growing really quickly. So I would say that's an overall trend of just the genres that you didn't even know existed, and I think the rise of SoundCloud and platforms like that have enabled that. But there's also a lot of Latin American influences at the moment that are growing really quickly in the UK. what else is dance has been growing exponentially for the last few years as well, and it still continues to grow.
But what specific, because dance music is like so broad, what specific sector within the dance genre you think is really growing fast?
What I think of is like kind of like festival and like big stage dance music. So
like
I guess
EDM
like
stuff.
Yeah, I guess EDM and like house and like kind of that more mainstream dance music, I suppose, of like perhaps what you might hear in like bigger clubs and on bigger festival stages. That kind of music is grown a lot.
Remixes are quite big in the dance scene. So do you also feel like remixing music can be beneficial across different genres? So do you think that gives visibility to different audiences? So it's an opportunity for a wider audience to embrace the music?
Yeah, I think so. I think it can be really interesting to have a remix done and cross-pollinate the audiences of the main artist and then the remixer. And yeah, reaching new audiences with that music. Perhaps people who hadn't heard of either the main artist or the remixer, and then they hear about the other one through the track. Yeah, I think it can be a really great, like we talked about collaborations earlier as well. I think it's a similar vein to that. Yeah, remixes can really extend the reach.
Does it come to mind any like remix recently that you thought that it was quite creative, it really revisited the original in a very unique way, something that was really out of the box, quite unexpected? Maybe it's a bit of a challenge.
I need to think about that. That's a good question. Maybe come back to that.
Okay, that's fine. Now, in terms of, you started, if you want to tell us a bit more about how you started, because I want to contextualize this question. So if you want to take us back to Kansas Smitty, the jazz bar that you started your career from. So how did you get that job? What was it like? What did you do then?
Yeah, so that was my first job in the music industry. So I started working in this bar and I was making drinks, and I was also running table bookings for the bar. So, people would email and say, can we book? And I'd reply to them. And I was doing that for a few months, making the drinks and stuff as well. So like day shifts and night shifts. And eventually they were like, well, yeah, we think you're better at the bookings part, like the emailing and customer service, that kind of thing. So I started doing that more. And the role really evolved from there. So we would put on live music 7 nights a week in the bar, but we would also take the house band on tour to festivals, and we would do like festival takeovers, like stage takeovers. We would do private events as well. So we took the band and we played private events for different things like weddings and stuff like that. So the role was really, really varied. We also ended up putting out records by the house band as well. So I kind of got to learn a lot about different parts of the industry from that one role, which was quite incredible actually. And yeah, that was my first role in music, which really, it happened quite organically in that, like I said, I was working at the bar and then it evolved into this job where I was, tour managing the band and booking the bands for the venue and stuff like that.
So would you say for the people that they're not artists, they're on the business side and they want to enter the industry, so do you think that is it more about finding a way in and then building your path, or should they be quite selective about the entry point?
I think if you have a really clear idea about what you want to do in the music industry, then choosing an entry point, perhaps it's a specific internship or a specific placement or specific training. But then I think if you're not sure, but you're interested in the industry, going into a venue or a small label or a small music organization, a management company, something like that, would be a way in for sure. And hopefully they would let you get your hands dirty on quite a lot of different projects. With smaller companies, I think that is the good thing, is the team will be usually smaller and it'll be more DIY. So like with me at Kansas Smitty, I was working across all sorts of things and learning on the job, and I think that smaller organizations can do that, and they can really help you learn what you do like, what you don't like, with the kind of things you're good at, by giving you the opportunity to work across like several different functions potentially.
Okay. And in terms of the current state of the music industry, we see a lot of acquisitions. So we see the pretty much big organizations just coming and down the food chain and acquiring distributors, publishing administrators. So what's your view on that? What do you think is driving that trend?
Yeah, that's been a huge trend for the last like 10 years, I would say. It's been going on quite a long time, really. Yeah, I think what's driving it is a desire for market share, I think. So, larger companies, major labels, they want to increase their market share and in that increase efficiency and have more influence over Spotify, Apple, and they can shape how those platforms run and how their music gets placed on them. And I think that, I don't know, it can be, it's a challenge for the music industry because, as more and more companies buy up other companies, there's more of these antitrust investigations and competition investigations where we don't want to end up with a monopoly in the music industry. Would not be ideal. But I still think there's enough going on in the indie scene, and there's enough going on with smaller labels and different little companies and stuff like that. That there's that ecosystem as well. But yeah, it is a huge trend and one that I think some labels and artists have also resisted that. Like, if the company that they're distributed through, for example, gets bought up. We've seen that some artists and labels will want to leave that company because they're like, well, I didn't sign with a major, I signed with an indie, and they're no longer indie. So we see that trend as well with the pushback.
I mean, you raised an interesting argument because I'm sure you're right. This is about controlling market share. But then you can argue that this could be problematic because if the big organizations keep increasing the market share and that essentially gives them the ability to control what happens on the platforms, that means that as a smaller label or as a smaller artist, I have a much smaller chance of being visible on the platform.
Yeah, that's a real challenge. Yeah, a real modern challenge. But I think it's also about cutting through the noise and being able to. That's why I was saying earlier, having a small dedicated fan base is more important than a large one that won't necessarily stream your music, because you can control what happens with your music and that audience more easily, and you don't rely on other people choosing your music or playlisting it or that kind of thing. Like, you can create your own audience and create how they consume your music more.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you some more personal questions now. Not too personal, don't worry. And then we can see if there's an opportunity for students to ask more questions, and then we can wrap up the session. So from the recent releases, what's your favorite record?
Oh, wow. That's such a good question. You mean that we've distributed or any?
No, any. Oh. Anything that really got your attention. It's a hard question.
Yeah, that's actually really hard. I'm trying to think of my favourite album of last year.
You can go 2 years back as well. No?
I love Elka's album. That's not from last year. Or Shanti Celeste's album from last year was also really good. But Elka as well, that was from a couple years ago. Just beautiful record. What was the question? Just what was my favourite?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Or the Over Mono album's really good. What else have I been listening to? Clive from Accounts, great record, great artist name. Oh, George Cunning's EP, just really exciting dance music that I hadn't heard before.
Yeah. Okay. If you were not doing what you're doing, what would you do? So if that was not your job, what do you think would be a different path for you?
I'd like to work in sustainability. Like the environment, I think, is the biggest challenge that humanity faces. And doing something to tackle that would be my choice.
And would it be more around live events, or would it be just generally sustainability?
In general, like sustainable infrastructure and green transport, green energy. I'd love to do something that would be very different to what I do now. But that's a real area of interest for me.
Okay. And now that you have your path and you're doing a very interesting job, and you're surrounded by music, it's a really beautiful job and rewarding. If you go back in time and you think about yourself being 18, trying to figure out what to do in life, what advice would you say to your 18-year-old self? And then what advice would you say to these guys that, I guess they're not 18, probably they're a bit older, but what sort of advice would you share with someone who is at the beginning of the journey? There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of potential as well, definitely. But, you know, between uncertainty and potential, the human mind is designed to worry more than dream. So what would be your advice on that?
Yeah, this is a good question. I think don't take feedback personally. This was something I still struggle with it now, but I struggled with it more when I was younger. Like, feedback is designed to help you, and the music industry is great because people really want to work in music if they work in music. You know, it's not like a job that you get told about in school. So people really want to work in it if they are in it, and that means that they are more willing to help you and help you as you start out in the industry. So feedback and like listening to feedback is like a space to grow. Like, I used to take feedback more personally, and that's just not, you know, that's something that is that's not the intention of feedback. But then also on the other side, taking ownership for mistakes. Like, again, I used to struggle so much with always wanting to like not make mistakes and think that was really bad and like a real bad weakness and wanting to be perfect and stuff. But I think taking ownership of mistakes and being like, yeah, okay, I did this wrong, I made a mistake, I'm going to learn from it, what can we do to fix it now, is like, that accountability is way more important, and people remember that way more than if you're like, no, I didn't do it, you know, like, or in denial or trying to cover things up and stuff. It's like definitely way worse than just being like, yeah, sorry, like, let's fix it kind of thing. And then also last one is just not comparing your journey with anyone else. So I think music is a different type of industry to more corporate jobs or jobs, again, that they kind of told you about in school maybe. And so comparing your like career journey with anyone else is just not helpful. So you're on your own path.
So you think this is good advice also for the people in the room, like not get into the not comparing really the journey, just design a path that is the optimum for them.
Yeah, and I think especially if more of you are artists, you know, you're going to see a lot of artists doing stuff and having highs in their career, but then you won't, you know, on, again, social media, what they're telling the world is not necessarily the whole story, and like there's going to be lows as well, but that's kind of like the whole journey of it. And I think, yeah, comparing yourself with other people can just lead to, it's not productive.
Great. Okay. So just last opportunity for any questions. Yeah.
Okay. Go here,
oh wow.
there.
Okay.
This is a bit of a controversial question. As someone who is in music business, do you think there is something as like too old to release music? Or
No. Do you think you're too old to release music?
No, I'm not too old.
Okay.
But that's something that genuinely terrifies me, that I have this time limit on me for success.
No, I think that's just fabricated by society. Society loves telling you that you're too old to do stuff. It's fine, you're not too old.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Okay,
well,
cool.
If you can still create music and you love it and you want to do it, then no, you're not too old.
But as in like a marketing perspective.
Okay. No, again, no.
No?
I don't
Okay.
think so. No. I think that did you ever watch X Factor when you were young and they had like the overs category and it would be like over 25? And I feel like that's where we've got this from. But no, marketing and stuff, like, it just evolves as you age and like as your career develops as well. Like, then you've got the benefit of like having more experience and hindsight, and you know maybe more about the industry and what you want from it and stuff like that. No, I don't think you're too old. Anyone's too old.
Cool.
Thank you so much. I learned so much today.
Thank you.
Like, when you take on this speech, is there a message that you want to like talk to us, or is there a main thing why you took on this job today?
Yeah, just go for it. Like, get out there and go for it. Like, you want to play shows, like volunteer to play shows and do stuff. I'm sure there's like opportunities through the uni and like promoter showcases and like those kinds of things, and like, or maybe you want to go and work on like the business side of music, like in a label in a venue or for a publishing company, like just go for it. Write to them, go to the shows, meet the team. Like I think just getting your hands dirty, and I think there's, you know, training and school is obviously a great start, and that's a really good basis. But then going and having like hands-on experience is the best way.
Hello, thank you for the talk.
Thank you.
I have 2 questions. That's okay.
That's okay.
So the first one was, how do you go about, I don't think there is such a thing as a wrong audience, but sometimes I'm very curious to like the type of audiences that my favorite musicians attract to shows. I'm like, oh, these are all dads. Oh, these are all, and I'm here. So if I were an artist, how would I try to attract a target audience? Like if I want younger people or older people, or anyone is anyone, it doesn't matter.
Interesting. The dads are a good fan base. They buy merch, and they have money for tickets and merch. So usually, but yeah, I know what you mean. I think, I think it's about tailoring your approach to different audiences. So, you know, younger people might be on different platforms. Obvious one is like TikTok. That is a younger skewing platform, but also like ones like YouTube and stuff like that. But it's also about like tailoring your marketing and potentially your output. So certain pieces of merch or kind of like styling of your brand, you know, your personal brand, or even the imagery of your albums and stuff like that, and the language you use around promotion. So I think we talked a bit about captions earlier and stuff like that, and like relatability, like those types of things again will tap into different audiences that you kind of want to reach with your music. But yeah, I think it really depends on the genre as well, and you don't want to deviate too much from the genre that you're creating music in, right? You don't want to like just change because you want a certain person to listen to it. So just lean in. Maybe the dads are right, you know.
And then my second question was, because I saw you work with Air and Lambrini Girls, so I was going to ask, is there, like, do you treat differently how you promote legacy acts, like more up and coming acts?
Yeah. So yeah, back catalogue is quite a different thing to front catalogue. So yeah, for example, Lambrini Girls, like when we were working on that campaign, it was obviously new. Like we were putting out lots of singles. They were touring loads. There was lots of promotion on that side. So they were doing all of that. And then we had the album. So yeah, whereas with back catalogue, there's no new stuff coming out that we can pitch necessarily. It's about positioning the older music in a way that reaches fans, but is also like still relevant to the music. So yeah, we actually have a dedicated back catalogue manager at Idol who works more on those like artists where they're not putting out new stuff right now. So yeah, it's quite different. The opportunities on stores are quite different. Like the playlists really are usually for front catalogue, like new stuff. Except there are also kind of like retro play, like you know, like what's it called? Like all 80s or whatever, it's like strictly, you know, pure 80s or whatever those ones are called, and kind of like that type of playlist. So there's also targets with that. So yeah, we do treat them quite differently. It's quite a different strategy.
Do you prioritize sync for back catalog?
Yeah, so Idol doesn't actually do sync. That would be more like either the labels would handle it themselves or they would hire an agency to do it. But yeah, back catalogue can be really good for sync. So can front catalogue as well, actually. But it just really depends on the sound. Like some genres do really well for sync. Yeah, but back catalogue would be a big one.
Okay. Like, have you achieved all of your goals yet, or is there anything else?
No way.
What kind of
I'm
goals?
not that old. How old do you think I am?
What kind of goals are you looking into in the future?
Wow. That's such a good question. I mean, I'd love to progress in the music industry, you know. I'd love to grow with my current company. Like we're always signing new labels and doing new things, and I'd love to work with bigger labels and new acts all the time, and kind of keeping it fresh, and bringing up more smaller developing artists as well, kind of like all of that. Yeah, this is a good thing about music, is there's no like limit, there's no like traditional ladder or things like that. Perhaps in other industries it's quite different, but I think the goal, you don't even know some of the goals yet because they haven't even been invented yet. So yeah, it's exciting, but no, definitely not. I'm not done.
Hi, I'm thinking how to sort of form this question, but for someone who's inside the music industry and knows the music landscape, has an opinion of where the music landscape might go in the future, AI, social media opportunities, but also social media burnout, the increases maybe right now in going to live gigs because of the social media aspect and everything. If you would right now put effort and also an investment into a skill or into something that would benefit you in 5-10 years time, what would that be?
For artists?
For artists and or someone also in the music industry. Obviously that might be different, but just an insight question that could be.
Yeah, that's a good question as well. I think data analysis, like getting comfortable with data, is just going to be really helpful for artists, but also for anyone who wants to work in the industry. Kind of like we're getting more and more data every day, and the ability to use that and work out what it's showing you and interpret it effectively is a real skill. And it's also quite daunting. So, starting quite small and working your way up using tools like Chartmetric, for example, or like Luminate, and just really starting off, maybe you want to look at one release and see how it did in a certain country, or you see how it did with a certain age group. Starting really small, like data is, obviously there's loads of data out there, but starting small with it and building up your skill, and then you can be like, okay, how is my whole catalogue doing, or how is my audience growth in the USA or in France, so then you can start to look at like more specific questions. But yeah, I think going forward, data is going to be more and more of a thing, and taking ownership of your own data as well, like direct to fan marketing, using those kinds of platforms.
I also have a question for you, Grace. Back here in the stream catalog. Right, so this one's slightly more philosophical, and sorry for this going to be like very long worded. It is impossible to have everything in life, right? So when you look back from the point where you started on, through your career and through your personal life as well, what are some things that you yourself, but also people in general, place a lot of importance to, or you placed a lot of importance back then to, which now looking back at the trajectory of your own career and your personal life, those things don't feel as important anymore?
Oh, wow. I wish you'd warned me about this question before. Yeah, I guess like title chasing and like chasing that perhaps like status and things like that. Not necessarily like money. I don't mean money with the status thing. Just more like thinking how you present yourself to other people, and like, oh, what are other people going to think, and like, is this like going to be am I going to look like really successful in front of these people? And I think like perhaps that you as you move through any industry or move through life, your perception of success changes, and you realize that like you have to work out what success is for you. Like maybe it's having flexible working, or maybe it's having like more time with your family, or maybe it's having loads of money, or maybe it's having like a huge house. Like there's loads and loads of things that might be success to you, and kind of like working that out and letting go of the things that maybe aren't success to you. Would be that, I think.
Nice, thank you, Grace. I'm gonna hand back to Yannis.
We're a very philosophical place.
Wow, you guys are challenging me with these questions.
It was super interesting, Grace. So giving a round of applause, guys. Well done.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
It was a real pleasure to have you. So, Ryan, are we sticking around for a bit so that we can have some more individual conversations or not? So we're doing this outside? Okay. Okay, fine. So we have a bit of time, guys. So if you're happy, Grace, to just stay with us. Okay, so we can just stay around a bit, ask some more individual questions if you want. Thank you so much for showing up as well. Thank you.
We making arrangements.
Is it hot in